iPhone 13 on us for every customer. Current, new, everyone. To show the love.
So was there anyone more resilient than the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.? We're here at the MLK Memorial in Washington, D.C., and we're talking about resilience. How do you get back up when you've been knocked down? How do you keep going? So I have a story of resilience. If you checked out my TEDx, and I hope that you will, it's on YouTube right now, I talk a lot about the transition, the transition before the transition, the pivot before the pivot, if you will. When I left my engineering career, I actually wanted to be an entertainment journalist. I wanted to be on red carpets and at awards shows and different things like that. And at a certain point, I realized that that wasn't quite gonna work. And a mentor of mine asked me why I wasn't using what I already had, which was my engineering background, my technology knowledge, put it together with all of that great media training that I had been getting, and create a career and build a brand around that idea. The only problem was, it was going to require me to basically start over. All of the work I had been doing, reporting traffic, doing interviews, and all of that other stuff really didn't amount to a whole lot once I decided to start talking about technology in the media. So it was time to dig deep and find some resilience within myself and start on a new journey. And that's what I did, and that's what you might have to do. You may have to pick yourself back up. You may have to leave everything you knew in the past and start fresh. But we're resilient. And on today's episode, we are talking to Joel Green, a former professional basketball player who is now running his own company, on what it means to be resilient. You're going to love this episode, so stay tuned. So we are continuing the conversation about resilience. Thanks for watching The Pivot with Stephanie Humphrey. And that idea that, we fall down, but we get up. Shout out to Donnie McClurkin for giving us that word and that inspiration. And joining me today to talk about resilience is former professional basketball player Joel Green. He is now the CEO of Pro Level Training, the national director of Nike sports camps, and a renowned motivational speaker. Joel, thank you for joining us today.
Steph, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
So I kind of broke down sort of how we can go through this process and chat. And I took your life and broke it down into sort of 3 segments, if you will, and wanted to sort of get your story on the resilience you needed to make it through each of those 3 phases in your life. Because I know we've chatted briefly offline about some of the challenges you faced in your life and things like that. So we're going to take sort of like 3 major sort of key points in your journey and just tell us about what you needed and where you pulled that from to get you through that point in your life. So let's just start with the point from childhood to college.
Okay. This would be fun. I'm looking forward to seeing the breakdown of my life, by the way. But just childhood to college, it was a whole lot of, adversity and, having to figure out what perseverance was. I didn't know what that was. I grew up in an abandoned house in North Philly on 33rd Street, right around the corner from Strawberry Mention High School, and just experienced things just during the crack era, just walking up and down the street, seeing little vials on the street. I didn't know what these colorful things were at the time, and just having to experience things like that. But in hindsight, I'm like, wow, I really had to overcome some things, to where our parents would send us up the street with pots, more so my older siblings. I was kind of young at the time, to get hot water from my neighbors.
Wow.
And there were moments, and they would come back and we'll put them on the kerosene heaters to keep the water hot and warm. In 90, when I was 91, I was 10 feet away from a shooting. And there was nobody else there outside of the kid that got shot and the two shooters. So like me thinking I'm gonna get shot in the back at 6 years old, having to overcome traumatic experiences like that, even hearing about the recent school shootings and stuff, it makes me think about that situation when I was 6 in elementary school and that occurred. All those things right there, I developed a callous to difficulty. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
To where the next time an obstacle came, I'm like, okay, well, it wasn't as bad as that last thing. So I had something to compare it to already. A lot of people may not have something to compare it to until they're 20 years old. And I mean, you bring up resiliency. I see resiliency as just, how do you recover from resistance?
That's so interesting, because I was literally just having a very similar conversation with myself in my head today. I kid you not. And just thinking about trauma response, right? Because that's what that is. It really is, a trauma response to the situations and the things that you found yourself in, and you can either sort of sink or swim, for lack of a better word. You either develop that callus, as you said, and you let that be your armor, so that nothing else really is able to penetrate. And when new challenges come along, that's nothing. I got shot at 2 years ago, so that's nothing.
Right.
Or you become that person that can't handle any of it,
right.
And just everything is just this huge anxiety inducing, and neither response is right or wrong. It's just the way some people respond versus others. Probably the healthy response would be to be in somebody's therapy, dealing with it all. Exactly. But that tends to be the trauma response. You either become sort of hyper independent and hyper self-sufficient and hyper, I don't need anybody to help me. I got this. This ain't that bad. This is nothing, blah, blah. Or you just become, a ball in the fetal position, that can't sort of cope with life at all. So I think we sort of share that trauma response because, I'm super type A and just like, this is nothing, like big deal, like whatever, the next one's coming. That's a very interesting thing that we share that trauma response.
I have to say this too. I'm human. I've experienced the fetal position response. You know what I mean?
We all do.
I've been there. Like, as I didn't mention, but I lost my older brother tragically when I was 17. And that was one of those moments to where I didn't know how to move. I never forget though, one of my uncles came over during that time and said, look, I didn't meet him downstairs. He came over to see me and I'm laying face down on my bed. And he put his hand on my back. He said, you got to get up. He said, you're still here. Look, I know Kev's not here. You're still here. You have to get up. And that was a pivoting point for me. I'm like, he's right. I was ignoring people for about a week and a half. I didn't go to school for over a week. I didn't want to talk to anybody. Just cried every day. And it wasn't until he told me, you got to get up. I'm like, you're right. I can't act dead. I can't act like I'm not alive. I have to live.
Right.
So that changed a whole lot for me. Just say, all right, you gotta find a way, like as you mentioned, to be resilient.
So let's move on to the next portion of your journey in becoming a professional basketball player. What sort of specific challenges did you find there where you had to draw on that well of resilience? Man,
from day one. I mean, it's the surface of being a pro athlete is beautiful. You know what I mean? It's lovely. It's admirable.
What everyone aspires to, right?
What everyone wants, and it's so you think. Just being honest. You think you want the life until you realize what's happening behind the scenes. You see what it's like when the lights are on in the arena, and that is the fun time for us as athletes. But the unfun, or whatever way you want to refer to it, is what happens behind the scenes a lot of times, whether it be, just the relationships with the front offices, just your check, things like that. Especially,
yes.
That especially playing abroad, whether it be Europe or South America, just different areas aren't as stable on the professional sports side as it is here in America. So some countries, you're hoping to get your next check. So this is my rookie season, by the way. So this is the start of me being a pro.
Already starting off on the wrong foot.
Already, right. So, I mean, how discouraging could that be, you know, as far as me looking forward to continuing to do this? Mm-hmm. And I remember getting on the phone with my dad, getting on the phone with one of my brothers who's over in Germany at the time. And I'm like, and he's a hardcore Army guy and stuff like that. Do two tours in Iraq, so he's about toughing things out. Mm-hmm. So I'm talking to them. I'm like, look, this was like via Skype at the time. This when Skype was huge. But I'm talking to them and saying, hey, look, I don't think I want to be over here. You know, I know I can get paid somewhere else. Right. And it was already mid-season. They said, look, man, you worked all this time to get over there and walk out mid-season. They said, look, we know you're there to get paid. You're a professional. This is what you get paid to do. They said, but we know you love the game of basketball. You love playing. You love getting better. And they said, look, at the bare minimum, get some film out of it. You know, I say, look, they said, we already know when it comes to Europe, playing in Europe, the high commodity is your footage. Right. You know, that's the hot thing. Like, that's what gets you your next deal, your next contract. Okay, let's see what he did. So I stayed over there. I decided to stick it out, you know, be resilient and miss that season. Took them to the playoffs for the first time in 4 years. Got some great footage from it. Got some great deals and opportunities afterward.
Love our new Alexa.
It's a Buick.
Yeah, Alexa.
Buick.
Alexa.
It's a Buick.
It's an Alexa. It's a Buick. It's an Alexa. Coach, that's a Buick. That's an Alexa.
The Buick Enclave with available Alexa built-in.
Verizon just gave us all a brand new iPhone 13.
We've been customers for years. I thought new phones were for new customers. We got iPhone 13s too, switched to Verizon 2 minutes ago.
Ours were busted, and we still got a shiny new one.
Check it out. So wait, everybody gets the same great deal.
I think that's the point.
iPhone 13 on us for every customer. Current, new, everyone. On any unlimited plan, starting at just $35. All on the network more people rely on.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Okay, so now let's talk about the transition into becoming an entrepreneur. Because I have to imagine that was probably a pretty, significant point in your life where, you may have sort of defined yourself as this basketball player, and now we have to figure out, what's next.
Yeah, I mean, that figuring out was the most depressing part of it all. Just being honest with you. I went through depression. I went through experiencing anxiety for the first time. I legit didn't know what anxiety felt like. I knew what it was. I didn't know what it felt like. I've always been a very confident person, self-aware as well, to where I can tell what's coming. I had some good foresight throughout my life. I can tell, okay, let me go get some help about this. Never really had things kind of felt like it was crashing down on me.
Right.
I couldn't handle it. But man, not knowing who I was or what I was difficult. Again, playing basketball, doing something as a specialty for over 20 years of your life and then stepping away from it, that was like, whoa, all right. I know I'm more than an athlete, but what does that entail? And I'm talking about this applying for jobs. What is this?
Right. A resume? I don't have no resume. Like, who got a resume?
Right. Like, you want to see my footage, job? That transition, I'll be honest, the depressive state fueled the success of what I'm doing right now. I'll be honest with you. And that's what, that's something I speak on with people all the time as far as extracting and filtering what you're going through that may feel terrible. Right. But, what can you take from that to actually help you be propelled somewhere else.
So you mentioned the perfect segue, filtering. We are going to talk about your book, Filtering, the way to extract strength from the struggle. And you wrote something in the one sheet that you sent to me that said, just getting rid of pain also gets rid of its gift. Absolutely. What is the gift of pain? I mean, that seems counterintuitive, right. that you would say that. So what gift can pain give us?
I mean, I look at pain often as a person, right? So it's like when pain comes out of the blue, right? It just knocks on your door and shows up, you question it. You know, it's like, whoa, this is a stranger. I don't like this, stranger danger. So you want to get rid of the pain. But at the same time, that person probably showed up for a reason. Mm-hmm. There's a purpose for that pain just showing up randomly. And so often we just want to get rid of our pain and never question it, never lean into it. It sounds, again, just like you said, who wants to do that? But that's one of the main reasons why our painful experiences and circumstances continually revolve. They come right back around because we ignore their reason for coming to begin with.
Right.
And instead of resolving them, they end up revolving. And we just go through this vicious cycle time after time after time. I know it's there for a reason. I know it's trying to tell me something about myself and show me a chink in my armor that I can feel to where it's no longer a chink or a weakness. So anytime pain comes, I'm just looking to strengthen that area so I can be even stronger beyond it.
So now what are some tips you can give us to extract strength from this struggle? It's hard out here, Jay. What can we do?
I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. Number one, question whatever you're going through. Again, it's pry your own situation like you would somebody else's. Be nosy about what you're going through. A lot of times we want to ignore it because we want to cover it up. Mm-hmm. We want to cover it up for other people so that we appear perfect. We want to cover it up for ourselves so we don't feel imperfect. No, look, be transparent with yourself. And that's one of the main things I had to work on because I was such in the typical sense a man, I'm all right. I'm okay.
Listen,
I'm always okay.
That hyper masculinity is going to kill y'all. This is for everybody else out there listening. That stuff is going to kill y'all. Like literally, like put that to the side, feel your feelings, ask for help, all that good stuff. Cause man, all right.
Look, I'm glad you said it. I'm glad you said it. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. And it took me a while to just say, dude, cry. You know what I'm saying? Like you feel it. Let it out. Not too long. You don't want to sulk. Don't stay in your feelings for too long. But get something off your chest. Express your feelings to other people. Whether they be good or bad. Let it be known. And just be more transparent with yourself. And that's one of the main things that will help people to extract, some fuel, extract some strength. And another thing that will also help is find somebody. Now we have the term accountability partners, things like that. But find somebody that you can truly count on. And run everything by them. Mm-hmm. Everything you truly feel that you would typically be embarrassed about to run past your associate. Have that friend or that family member, whoever, to where they're in the corner. Most of us at least has one.
Right.
A lot of us have multiple, but at least we have one. Run everything by them. And for me, it's my brother. We talk often. I'm like, I run everything by him. No filter, no nothing. Like, hey, look, here's what's going on. He does the same for me. We build each other up despite that. That way you feel less insecure about what you're going through, because what I felt is anytime I express my insecurity, I start to feel secure.
That's it.
At the moment I let it out, the insecurity dissipates. Like I begin to feel secure. I'm like, okay, I'm not the only one that's going through this. Okay, cool. And that's
Isn't that funny how that works? So Jay, we really appreciate you being here. When can people pick up the book, Filtering, the way to extract? We need to extract some strength from this struggle. So when can we get this book and where will it be available?
Well, definitely looking forward to releasing it. It's going to be released on September 6th, 2022. So a few months from now, it's going to be available on the major platforms as far as your BarnesandNoble.com, your Amazon, of course, just a number of other places, Book Baby, a number of different places.
Wherever you get your books.
Wherever you can get your books is going to be there. So I'm hoping you guys definitely pick it up. It's going to be a lot of golden nuggets in the book, really inspiring. You get some more detail into my life, the entrepreneurial journey. I have an entire blueprint in there for entrepreneurs. It's going to be an amazing piece of content. So really hope you guys check it out.
Fantastic. And then how can people get in touch with you?
Well, you can get in touch with me by way of social media. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Well, I'm on Instagram quite a bit, so you can follow me on there at jgreenplt. And we'll connect on there. I'm one that loves to DM. So if you have some questions or need some pieces of advice, looking to get a connection, I'm a big time connector. Trust me when I tell you that, to where if I can help you get partnered or connected with somebody else, I have no problem being that middleman for you. I got you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again for being on The Pivot with Stephanie Humphrey. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Setbacks are a part of life, y'all. Stuff happens. But the key is not to let it keep you down. We all have to be resilient. You don't have much of a choice. You got to keep going. And you have to embrace that pain sometimes. You have to embrace that disappointment sometimes. The pain can be a gift when you learn from it. And you want to take those lessons so that you can grow and so that you're not repeating the same mistakes over and over again as well. So lean into the pain, learn from it, grow from it, and then let it go. Journaling can really help you during these times as well, just to get everything out, get everything off your chest, and also to look back to see how far you come. You'd be surprised at how resilient you actually are in hindsight. Now, I like to actually write things down in a physical journal myself, but apps like Journey and Penzo are great for that as well. And then you just gotta embrace an attitude of gratitude. It is much easier to come back from disappointment when you can focus on the things that you already have and the things that you're already grateful for, while you anticipate and get excited about everything that's yet to come. It's resilience, y'all. Let's get us some. This is Stephanie Humphrey with The Pivot. Thanks so much for watching.
How about sushi?
I just had sushi for lunch yesterday.
How about tacos?
Automatic emergency braking, one of 6 advanced safety features standard on every 2022 Chevy Equinox. Find new technology. Find new roads. Chevrolet.